It is Monday, August 24. Welcome to CGN News. Information from weather.com is that Jamaica and Cuba will continue to be affected by adverse conditions from Tropical Storm Laura. Laura is projected to enter the Gulf of Mexico later today or early Tuesday. Conditions in the Gulf of Mexico could allow Laura to strengthen significantly. Meanwhile, 5 persons, including a 10-year-old, were killed in Haiti as Tropical Storm Laura lashed the island on Sunday. The Jamaica Constabulary Force, the JCF, confirmed Saturday night that Commissioner Major General Anthony Anderson is in isolation after testing positive for COVID-19. Information from the communication arm of the Jamaica Constabulary Force, the Constabulary Communication Unit, the CCU, is that the Commissioner's immediate support staff are all being tested and have been placed under quarantine as well. Meanwhile, Major General Anderson is urging all members of the Constabulary, particularly those on the front line, to take all necessary precautions as they carry out their daily functions. Queen Elizabeth II has expressed an interest in deepening ties with President of Guyana, Ifran Ali, who received a congratulatory letter from her and the other Commonwealth realms. In her congratulatory letter, Queen Elizabeth expressed her desire to further strengthen the ties between the two countries. In highlighting the long-standing ties, she stated that she's looking forward to the President bringing renewed opportunities to build on the friendship between the United Kingdom and Guyana as fellow members of the Commonwealth. Bermuda's Premier David Burt on Friday announced a general election is to be held on October 1, just over 3 years after the Progressive Labour Party, the PLP, crushed the One Bermuda Alliance, OBA, at the polls. Burt said the early election, which had not been due until 2022, would help the island to focus on rebuilding its battered economy and creating more opportunities for the nationals. Quote, in accordance with the Bermuda Constitution, the governor has accepted my advice to hold a general election on October 1, end quote, he said. The U.S. State Department has issued a new security alert to its citizens as Jamaica prepares for its general election on September 3. Quote, you should remain vigilant while moving about the country as the election draws near, end quote, the State Department advised. Political gatherings and rallies could lead to traffic disruptions, and large gatherings and crowds can be unpredictable and present opportunities for criminals as well as the spread of COVID-19, the advisory said. You should also be aware that the colors orange, green, and yellow are politically significant and may incite a reaction if worn in public, said the advisory. Americans were told to be aware of their surroundings, avoid large gatherings and crowds, and exercise caution if one is unexpectedly in the vicinity of large gatherings or protests, monitor local media for updates, and keep a low profile. Overseas now, Caden Bradford, the teenager who attended Barbers Hill High School in Texas and was told in January to cut his dreadlocks, will no longer have to cut his locks to attend school. Bradford, who transferred to another school to finish the school year, saw a federal court blocking the district from enforcing its hair length policy against him. U.S. District Court Judge George C. Hanks, Jr. issued a preliminary injunction this week that requires the Barbers Hill Independent School District in Mount Bellevue, Texas, to allow Caden Bradford to attend school and participate in extracurricular activities without cutting his hair. Bradford, whose heritage is Trinidadian, has been wearing his locks since 7th grade. Scientists in Germany have held 3 pop concerts in a single day to investigate the risks posed by mass indoor events during the pandemic. The first of Saturday's 3 concerts aimed to simulate an event before the pandemic with no safety measures in place. The second involved greater hygiene and some social distancing, while the third involved half the numbers and each person standing 1.5 meters apart. All participants were tested for COVID-19 before taking part and given face masks and tracking devices to measure their distancing. Researchers reportedly also used fluorescent disinfectants to track which surfaces audience members touched the most. The Israeli authorities have covered over a mural known as Peeping Toms at a beach in Tel Aviv in response to an outcry over the suspected gang rape of a teenage girl at another beach resort. The mural shows two young men in bathing suits peering inside what is the women's changing room. Almost 20 years old, it commemorates a 1970s film of the same name that was partly filmed at the beach. Women's rights groups had long demanded the mural's removal. Tel Aviv Mayor Ron Hulai tweeted in Hebrew that the time had come to cover it over after the alleged assault in Eilat. A baby gorilla has been born at Bristol Zoo in England. Keepers arrived to find the new arrival nestling in the arms of its mother. Photographs taken just hours after the birth on Wednesday show Carla, a 9-year-old Western lowland gorilla, cradling the newborn. Staff said both were doing well. The zoo said Carla gave birth naturally. Staff had been on tenterhooks following the death of Carla's first baby last September, a week after she underwent an emergency cesarean, the BBC reports. The Western lowland gorilla is classed as critically endangered, with some estimates putting the number left in the wild at about 100,000. Jamaican Barbara Blake Hannah was the first black journalist to appear on television in Britain, and now a journalism award will be named after her. Hannah, who is a filmmaker and author, spent 4 years in the United Kingdom before breaking down racial barriers. She created history in 1968 when she presented the news on Thames TV. A new award has been named in her honor to be presented to the best up-and-coming non-white journalist at this year's British Journalism Awards. Commenting on the honor in an interview with Loop News, Hannah expressed satisfaction that something so awful in her life has turned out to be doing some good after all these years. In her own words, the award has made lemonade out of lemons. That's it for CGN News. I'm Scott Wilson. Thanks for watching.